Hello, my friends, and welcome to a space where pleasure is treasured, relaxation is not what you think it is, and life firing on all cylinders is what we're about. If you are somebody who wakes up every day asking for way more, consider this your happy place. Welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. I'm your host, Heather Nichols. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. I am here this week with somebody that I just totally adore and admire, and somebody who really inspires me, Marketa Podana, who is a Access Consciousness certified facilitator. She lives in Prague in the Czech Republic, and facilitates all kinds of specialties within Access Consciousness as well, and is somebody who just is a very dynamic creator and being from a lot of ease. And it's one of my favorite things about you, Marketa, is just like how you create and your demand for ease and orgasmic living. And beauty and pleasure. It's so beautiful. So thank you for you.
Thank you for the invitation, Heather, and I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so excited to be here with you and have a conversation. And we started with, let's just have fun.
Exactly. Because that's such an energy that creates, and it's so I think both of us kind of have a mission, to or maybe not a mission, but we're choosing for ourselves at least to really have, like, explore deeply that space of having a joyful, like, beyond normal life, and living, and really the creation of living, and which is about hedonism and relaxation and intensity and elegance, and within that is that it is like it's so fun to be alive, and from there things show up because of those energies. And I love that. It's something that I know I've always known was possible, but I didn't really invite myself to until I found the tools of Access Consciousness and started exploring a different way of creating. And so yeah, I love how you roll.
Thank you. And I have to say that, like, you were on the way, like I remember you at the beginning, like when I started to use access tools, and I heard something about Heather Nichols, and then I was like, who's that lady? And I started to listen to you. And then I remember I did this business plot with you. It was such a gift to be with you for half a year and have this individual conversations, And I remember once you asked me, so if you could have anything out of this, like, individual session, what would it be? And I said, you know what? I don't have problems, actually. So I don't know. And you told me, well, and what if life is not just about not having problems? What if it can be, like, really orgasmic? I was like, wow, I've never considered that. And I remember what it kind of changed in my universe, because, I was always kind of happy in my life, and I've never acknowledged that, because I thought it's not a good thing to have easy life, And I always tried to help people, save people, especially those that didn't have easy life. And, like, with access tools, I realized, wow, I'm choosing having it easy. It's just not the value of this reality.
Yeah, that's so
And
true.
sometimes we are so good at complicating things on purpose so that we don't have it so easy. And it's so funny. And I can see that in, like, some parts of my life. And with access tools and talk to the entities tools and all these specialty tools, I'm doing also Right Voice for You classes now. I'm really asking, hey, like, what is true for me? What is true success for me? And for me, it's truly having so much fun and laugh a lot, receive a lot, and enjoy life and living on this beautiful, beautiful, incredible planet Earth.
Yes. End of podcast. Nothing more to say. Yeah, it's amazing how, and I know, like, sometimes for me, when I heard these types of invitations, conversations, I was like, yes, there's something there that is so true for me. That, and I don't, it was kind of like I didn't have that yet, hadn't created that yet. But I also had an easy life. In a lot of ways, I also complicated it. And I even watch myself still kind of trying sometimes to do that. And then I'm like, no, 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 no. That's just going to make things, it's going to diminish everything if I do that. Um, and I know also, it's also common for people to hear that kind of a conversation and be like, that just is a bunch of airy fairy fantasy stuff. And I mean, we were chatting about this before we started the recording, kind of out of the blue. I'm buying a house, a different house and moving and stuff. And it wasn't like we're now going to look for a new house. It was like this house just showed up in my, and was like, hi, you know, and it was way more money than we quote unquote had, to put into something. And we just kept, I just kept choosing the energies and like spinning the energies and like showing up to choose and choose and choose, play with the entities, which we can talk more about, that are on the land there, um, and um, and like really use the energetic tools and go like, this matches the future that I'd like to create, and just stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, not take no for an answer. And in this amazing way, we've rounded up the money to do it, that we, supposedly didn't have, or didn't have access to. And it wasn't from doing anything from a linear fashion. It was from choosing the energies, the joy, the space, the possibility, the future, all of these elements that create, and elementals that create miraculousness, and choosing to live from that. And so it's like, yes, it can sound like fantasy. And at the same time, if you choose to be as crazy as you actually may be, you can actually, and I know you've done some similar things. It's like you can actualize anything, with those energies and those choices and those spaces so much more powerfully. It's where you actually give yourself access to your own superpowers, instead of trying to do it in a linear fashion, which is such a diminishment of everything. And if I had tried to do it from a linear perspective, it wouldn't have worked.
And this is amazing, like there is also this energy, like how often we sometimes feel kind of wrong with money.
Yeah.
And this wrongness is a lie, because so often what I can see, and also with me and you, is this capacity actually never stopping for money.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
and this was beyond wrongness, because like from the point of view of this reality, are you crazy to buy something you don't have money for? But when you trust you and you perceive the energies and you connect with the spirits of the earth, the land, and you are the contribution, you can contribute and they can choose you. And when you kind of like put it all together, there is magic in the contribution we are, and money are never the case and important, and everything is as by magic. And you said, like, sometimes it sounds like airy fairy, but the thing is, I am airy fairy. And I had to acknowledge that,
That's
because
awesome.
people want me to explain things. And I'm like, and I judge myself for not being able to explain stuff. And I was like, you know what? I have to admit, I'm airy fairy and my business is fairy business. And that's how it works. And no matter what I create, I invite spirits of the earth, you know? And once I had foundation, I was supposed to have foundation class in Slovakia. And like it went well. And out of sudden, host told me she's not going to organize it. Participants sign off, and everything looked like disaster. And I was like, and it was supposed to be in this beautiful, beautiful like land, close to the forest. And I was like, you know what, guys? If you truly desire me there, and if I can really contribute to some change you are requiring, contribute. You know what? It was one of the biggest foundation I have ever had.
Wow, that's so cool.
Everything.
Foundation, just for anybody who doesn't know, that's a class in Access Consciousness that is like one of the first classes you can do, and also like come back to many, many times. It has like all of the magical tools for creating and having whatever you want to have as your life. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And I'm also facilitating talk to the entities classes. And the thing is that if you have capacities with entities, with spirits, with energies, you can't cut it off. And no matter what you create, no matter what you create, if you are buying a house or if you are creating a podcast or if you are creating, whatever, they are there contributing because it's part of you. And like
Yeah.
so many people don't acknowledge it, don't include them. And it makes my life even easier than ever before, you know? And it used to be such a pain in butt because I didn't know I have all these capacities and how to use them. And
Yeah.
like when you open to that, it starts to be airy fairy and magical, and you can acknowledge it, and you just invite magic into your life because you start to see how magical you are, and that it's not just blah 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 blah. It's fact.
Wow, that's so cool. So let's talk more. There's so many things that I would love to ping on there. Let's talk more about the talk to the entities. That it's so that's a specialty class within Access Consciousness, and it was one of the first specialties that I started to explore 15 years ago. And it really got me, it actually contributed so much to how I create everything. Because it's not just about like talking to ghosts, or learning how to clear stuff or clear demons or whatever. That's one small aspect of it. It's actually acknowledging the energies of everything, and that when you interact with those energies, you can have communication with all kinds of different energies and entities, like the aliveness of the world around you, and all of those things can contribute. And that's like with the house that I'm buying. I was like, the nature spirits of that land, they want me there, and so I've been working with them, and just like talking to them, contributing, showing them some of the futures that I would like to create with that land. And just like, and they're like, yes, 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 and so they can facilitate. I'm like, help me create the money, they can help and assist and facilitate. And you can do that with land, a house, you can do that with your business, you can do it with a class, like anything that has an energy that you can interact with. It's like you acknowledge the aliveness of the world around you, and it contributes to you, because it's like, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging me. Most people don't.
It's so true. And everything is talking,
Yeah.
you know? Like now when we speak about all these energies, like the wall behind you started to talk, the flower here started to talk,
Yeah.
and it's who we are. And like it started to be this magical world again for me with these tools, because everything is talking to me. Cars are talking to me, chairs are talking to me. Sometimes they're like, hey, buy me, I will contribute. And like sometimes I'm like, if people heard the conversations I'm having with everything around in my head, they would think I'm really crazy. But the thing is, I am crazy in the most beautiful ways, and it's amazing to acknowledge it, that it's not this bad crazy. We are weird, we are so different, and we are so crazy because we are aware, and we really can talk to everything, and everything can talk to us. And like recently, I said to somebody, you know what? Sometimes when I'm having classes, some shoes of participants are talking to me. And sometimes shoes are louder than the participants. So I have to tell to the shoes, can you please not talk to me right now? I need to hear what they are saying, you know?
That's awesome.
And this is the world I'm living in. And I am like, oh my God, it's so funny, but it's how it is for me. And it's
Yeah.
so different for everybody. And like talking to entities and the spirit world and actually everything is so different for each of us. And sometimes I just love to, explore that. Like, hey, how do you have that? I have it in so different way. And you can find the same person as you are. So everybody perceive it in different way, and everybody has capacity with something like different,
Yeah.
And like recently, like I have always loved trees, and recently trees started to be very intense with me. Like, hey, we are here. There is something more. Can you talk? Can you create with us? And like sometimes you are like, am I crazy? Am I inventing? But like what I learned with talk to entities tools is you have to stop saying you are inventing anything.
Yeah.
These tools really get you to acknowledge what you know. You are inventing nothing. Yes, sometimes we can use, our filters or something, but you are aware. And if tree is talking to you, you are not inventing. The tree is talking to you, you know? And I started to ask, hey, trees, so what can we create? What can we create? I just was like wondering. And like out of sudden, I started to go to the roots of the trees. And I started to perceive an energy. And I was like, wow, you know what? They are showing me energy of the future that is possible on the planet Earth and with the planet Earth. And it started to be so exciting. So I started to explore it for me. And recently, the trees were like, hey, like, can you come to talk to us more often? Like you put into your calendar, you put interview with somebody. Can you put interview with us, please?
I love that. Oh
I
my
was
God.
like, well, it's a good idea. And
Wow.
then they were like, and you know what? You can even include more people into this space. And today in the morning, I had this first like group symphony tasters with trees. And it was just me, couple of people, trees and silence. And I was like, oh, I get why it was so uncomfortable for me to do that. Because at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, like there were so many doubts. I was like, are you crazy? What are you doing? Everything was screaming. And then there become to be this beautiful space of acknowledgement and communion. And I was like, wow, there is something I have always known was possible. And I just need to keep going with that. It will show up. You can't define it, but you perceive the energies. There is something that is unrevealing, like unhiding, showing up. So like I say, when you don't want to do the stuff, when you feel you are crazy, when you feel you are inventing, go for it. Because the most of time, everything is screaming at you because it's the right direction.
Yes. Oh,
And when you
yeah.
just go
Yeah.
out of sudden, when you go through all of that, there is the space, and you're not like, wow, there is something so much more.
Yeah. And that is like, that is so, for me, that is so nurturing and so healing. It's like, my podcast before this one was called The Entrepreneurial Biome. And I would talk in that one a lot about the biome, like the ecosystem, of business, body, and living is what it was. And how it's kind of like these energies and these connections and the communion. It is like an ecosystem that the health of which is so diminished if we don't acknowledge those energies, kind of like in the microbiome in your gut or your body, where it's like it needs diversity, it needs all of the elements, and we those of us that are the seekers of the world, we some in access we call them the humanoids, people that know a different possibility is available, people that have energetic awareness. If we cut that off, we are cutting off so many essential nutrients that make up our unique ecosystem. And when I tap into, like, there's this gigantic tree I'm looking at right now across the street that is like massively contributing. And then the trees on my new property and the ones back here and the ones at the castle in Italy we got married under this summer. You were there, and like, and then I go, oh, and then those ones in Prague and the ones all over the world, like I'm a huge tree fan as well. And it's like that connection, I always say like the trees make more sense to me than anything.
I agree.
And that's so strange, in this reality, but that's a mess. The trees are a huge part of the health of my ecosystem, my body, my living, my creation. And they are so healing for me. Like if I'm spun out or, whatever is going on, like if I go and connect with the trees, that changes everything for me. And so, but we don't grow up acknowledging that, and encouraged to explore that, to include that as a very pragmatic part of our creative world, and so I want to shift a little bit to, just keep going toward the castle, Castello di Castelborgone in Italy, where there are these two trees that are very loud right now, massive, hundreds of years old trees, that really are kind of like maybe like the mother and father trees of the castle, and of that area, even in northern Italy. And you're going to be doing some classes there coming up soon. And we've both done classes there, which is a really big choice. It's expensive, it's a big investment financially. And to choose to show up to create that it's a big choice. It's also a big choice just energetically, because the entity of the castle is so massive, and it will not really accept any mediocrity. It facilitates you so dynamically with how you create and how you show up. And it's taught me so much about choice, and that the castle is like, and even now it's like, hey, let's do something else sometime soon. I like to do like one class every year there, a body class, usually. So I've done 3 of them so far, and it's like when it's time, the castle lets me know. It's like, please come, please come. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then the choice to engage with it, whether I'm taking a class there, going to visit it, holding a class there, it starts to massively contribute to my world, change it, up level it. And I have to be willing to choose that and receive it and have it. And I love that you're doing a foundation and a talk to the entities class there. I was like, man, I would love to be at that class live. I won't be, at least in this 10 seconds. I'm like, I'm going to be on my way to the Middle East then. So, but there's just, yeah, I'd love to hear, because you have such a special also relationship with the castle. And yeah, so just whatever you want to share about that.
I could speak like 4 hours
I
about
know.
this. I think we both could have like a specialty class about the Castello di
Creating with
Castle.
the castle. Yeah.
But like, it's so beautiful and scary at the same time.
Yeah.
Like to choose that, it's so beautiful and very uncomfortable each time.
Yes.
And like I remember first time I heard about that castle, even to visit the castle. For me, it was a castle, exclusive luxury castle that is not for me. I I know it exists, but like I didn't know I can get there so easily. But I love the energy, and I was like, one day I will be there. And out of sudden, I really started to go there for classes. And people were wondering, like, we can go there too? I was like, of course, like everybody can come. It's just a choice. So it's interesting because the castle is showing everybody what we kind of excluded from our life, what we decided what we can have or can't. And like a couple years ago, one lady that is also like using access tools and doing access classes, she was like, one day you will have your class here. I was like, no way. But with this sentence, she kind of seeded a little seed of, hey, what if, you know? And the last year, I had my first, I asked for it. I have to say, I asked for it. It was in my universe. And the last year, I had my first foundation class at the castle. And it facilitated me so much. Like first I was so excited about it. I wanted to tell all the world. And then I started to hide it. I was like, wow, I can't be uncomfortable for people. I have to hide it. And there were so many stuff around, and the class was so beautiful. We had so many extra bonuses also because Dr. Dane here, the co-founder of Access Consciousness, he had ESB class just after. So the last day of our foundation class, he came to hug each participant of this class, and it was just so beautiful and nurturing, and I was so grateful. It was so magical. And after that, I was like, hey, what's next? I guess I do it again the next year. And I just booked the castle again. And I was like, let's have a festival at the castle. So I was like, yeah, I will do foundation. And then these two trees were like, hey, entity class. And all these entities around and all these little spirits of the earth and beings of light and magical land, they were like, talk to the entity class. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so in January, I booked everything for October. And guess what? It's facilitating me half a year from this choice. And it's showing me so much about receiving and about me and about what's true for me and about, what else is possible here. And I was like, yeah, I already know how it is to have class at the castle. This conclusion, each time I visit this place or I make a class there, I'm like, you have no clue, lady. Like,
Yeah.
there is always so much more. There is like, it's never like, yes, I already know. Never. Like, you can always receive so much. And each time it shows me something so different. And the most of time it shows me how I'm still not asking for so much, that there is so much we can really ask for, and there is so much we can be in the world, and that we truly with our demand can change the world. We can change the world, like each of us, and each of us knows something so different. And the last time I visited castle with you and your 3-day body class, I have to say it was very intense class, and the trees were very intense with me. and they were screaming at me like, "Are you done playing it small?" Hey, like exactly as you said about you can't play mediocre.
Yeah.
Like when you make this choice, you can't play mediocre, and you have to even look at your shit, and you start to see your limit, and you can cancel it or you have to go.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And it's amazing like that. I mean, I think that's one of the things that is really like where there's just so much courage required in the exploration of consciousness, and the choice for more. Once you once you realize that your choice is all that you require to have more, and then you have to be present, you have to let go of what is in the way of that. um and my cleaner is vacuuming. I don't know if you can hear, but we have so much going on here today. There's like painting and cleaning and inspections and blah. So anyway, pardon
We
me.
can include that into the conversation.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
I also wanted to say how often we don't acknowledge the courage we have, you
Yeah,
know?
totally,
Because
totally.
once you make a choice, it's kind of course. But
Yeah,
like not of course. Like how
yeah,
often we don't acknowledge the courage we have to choose things that like the most of people would not choose.
yeah. It's so true. And that goes so far because when you choose, it's like when you choose the castle and the castle's like, there's more, there's more, there's more, there's more. Like me choosing this house, I'm like, I'm not, it changed it changed the way that I create. It is changing the way that I create. And it's not like I have no interest in being like moving into the house and being like, okay, cool, I did that. It's like now the whole universe is like, look what you're capable of. You are just getting started. Like now you need to turn it up a millionfold. And the process of creating this house or classes at the castle or whatever it may be, it always shows me where I am playing small, and like I have to keep going and up leveling from there, because if I don't, my life will start to get smaller, everything will shrink. And I that's a big way to live. It's there's a lot of choice and presence every day involved with that. So I want to say, like, we talk about the creation of living and orgasmic living and having fun and enjoying and all of that. And I think part of being crazy is also the enjoyment of being uncomfortable, because it's not just like, oh, it's so fun and I'm just, sitting on my couch and I don't have to do anything. And that's not it. It's like the fun and the adventure of outstretching yourself every day, going beyond your comfort zone every day. And when you start to see that as orgasmic, as deeply pleasurable, as hedonistic, as, oh my God, look how crazy I am that I just did this and now I'm going to choose more. That is, that requires immense courage and a willingness to be super different. So, and it's orgasmic, it's fun, it's like insane, it's wonderful, I'm like blown away every day, and I'm a courageous mofo, as you are as well, so it's just, I don't want to end this conversation without acknowledging that piece, because it's not for everybody. Living and creating in this way is definitely not for everybody.
It's not. And the thing is that like once you see what this uncomfort and these choices are creating, you can't stop.
Exactly.
Like sometimes you want to run away. Yes. Sometimes it's so uncomfortable that I'm like, hey, can I just have like peace with everything? Like
Yeah.
I want to run away. I'm not going to choose that again. But then when you go through it and you really ask for ease, joy, and glory and you have fun with it, you are like, I fucking love the intensity of uncomfortable and I can have ease with it. So
Yeah.
as you said, it's not that like I have happy day every day. and that sometimes I'm not like, but like this is part of the adventure of living. And we are intense beings.
Yeah.
We are very intense beings for this reality, and we love intensity. And, like during the recent ESB class with Dr. Dane here, he said something like, the most of people, they are willing to have the intensity of problems and limitations. But are you willing to have the intensity of joy, of true living?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? This is what I really desire to explore.
Yeah.
This is what is very exciting for me. And it's not about perfect life and living. This doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So even there are messy days, you feel wrong, you feel like everything goes opposite direction.
Yeah.
But like you are willing to stay in question, ask in question, or ask for magic and miracles.
Yes. Yes, totally. And everything can contribute, and it doesn't, even if it's something that seems like it's not working out, everything contributes. If you stay in question and you're committed to receiving and you're willing to use your intensity, and embrace it and, be uncomfortable. It's just like, cool, this is another thing the universe is presenting to me for me to choose more, what gift is this? What gift can this be? And then you just keep going, keep going, keep going. And you end up creating a future and continually, that is so much greater. And I love that so much. And I love having playmates like you to explore all of these things with, because it's why I'm here. Like, I just love creating joy and beauty and hedonism and intensity and creating with the earth and having a freaking great time,
Yeah, and we can really have that. Like when you're willing to have your reality, we can really have that because the planet is here. It's consciousness. Come on, trees are pure consciousness. And like we can choose that. It's here for us. We don't have to live the insanity of people's reality. And also like to have you, Heather, and other beautiful, beautiful beings in the world, just like, awareness and knowing you are there. It's contributing to me. Like we don't even need to talk a lot, but like just knowing that somebody like you is in the world. And sometimes I got a ping and I write to you, hey, how are you? I've been thinking of you, and it's how we connect and contribute to one each other. But this is so beautiful. And it's beautiful to be surrounded by beautiful beings that are happy for your success.
Yeah.
And that supports you and they're like, yay, you go, and we inspire one each other. And for me it's normal, but I realized that it's like quite rare in this world.
Yeah, so true. All right, well, the vacuum is getting closer, and so I think we're gonna
eat Heather.
Exactly. So we will put down below in the show notes like where people can find you, beautiful Marketa, and these classes at the castle and all the other amazing things that you have coming up. And thank you everybody for being here. Thank you so much, Marketa, for this conversation. I'm just inspired and grateful. So yeah, how does it get better?
And thank you everybody for being and listening and never giving up.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me for the Creation of Living podcast. If this conversation was inspiring to you, share the love. To work privately with me or for info on my upcoming classes and retreats, go to heathernichols.com. Have a beautiful day, and remember that the world thrives when you do.